a sad day when Sean's got to put the lights on. You know what I mean? It says so much about the
winter is coming.
Yeah, winter is indeed coming. That is happening to us right now. Sean's just had to put the lights on, so that we're slightly better lit.
Have you got socks on?
I've got socks on. I've got boots on. What a change around from earlier in the week.
Winter is coming.
When I was full of sockless delight.
I didn't throw them all out.
Oh, honestly,
I'll never need these ever again.
Yeah, that was my attitude towards them. I had a good long look at the sock drawer today and felt that it was going to have to be done. Jurgen Klopp's on a press conference.
Yes, he done it early.
He got out the way, didn't he?
Yeah, I wasn't even in work. He was early. I was following it on Twitter on the train in. He's done it. He was obviously asked about Daniel Sturridge. I think he seems a bit perplexed by the whole thing. I mean, he's perplexed by a lot of football, I think, and by a lot of football, I mean a lot of what people like to talk about football.
Yeah.
But he seems a bit genuinely confused by the whole thing, and I thought his comments on it were quite interesting, in that he clearly sees a fluid front three.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think it's that massively important where you start. And his thing was, look, I'm not asking him to play right wing in a 4-4-2. It's a front three where they all run, they all move.
Yeah.
And I think he's right, and I think it's, I don't know, I thought it was a bit strange, the comments from Sturridge, and I don't think there was necessarily anything awful in what he said, but he just feels like he's somewhat a bit uneasy at the moment, and it feels like he's a bit too keen to kind of get his own excuses early, if you like.
I think it's a funny thing. I think it's firstly it's number nines.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean, we've all played with them. At any level, I don't know if we swear on this, but I can use a bad word about them, because the hard work footballers who see themselves as the best player on the team, who see themselves as the centre forwards, they want things their way very much, and it strikes me as an interesting thing where I think if you're asked Sturridge where do you want to play, he'll say I'll play up front.
Yeah.
And it feels as though that's the way that conversation's gone. He does go on and emphasise I'll play wherever. It's very similar to what Milner's said, to be honest with you, which is that Milner obviously does not want to play left back.
But Milner's been asked to play a much more different position, and what's a little bit confused about the Sturridge thing is he says he plays up front, he says he's a striker, but he's all over the place anyway. So I think that's why Klopp's a bit confused, because he actually said in the press conference that, well, I don't want him to just stand there as a number 9, and Daniel Sturridge clearly doesn't want that, because you watch him now, he's all over the place. His criticism, he's too deep at the moment, and so I think that's where the kind of the frustrations or the kind of frictions are really. It's like, well, actually, what does he want a kind of a free role, but from a central position, or kind of what is it he's after really? And I think Klopp's trying to balance that, but Daniel Sturridge also needs to kind of balance it with the fact
that's the interesting thing. Go on.
And the fact to me that the front three maybe looks a bit better when he's not in it at the moment, and I think he's our best striker and the best attacking player probably, but when he's not in it, the ones who he picks in a front three seem to get the fluid front three thing a lot more than kind of he does. He kind of seems to struggle with it really, and that's not because he's not an intelligent player, because Klopp said he's very intelligent in the press conference today, but I don't know, it's just something about this kind of idea of how this kind of structure works, and it's a problem for him really, because Klopp's shown that if he thinks it's best not to pick him, he won't.
I think it's an interesting thing where I think it's actually dealing with footballers' specific mentalities. And there's something which is, Firmino's always, if you write it down as 4-2-3-1, Firmino spent much of his career in that 3.
Yeah.
You write it down as 4-2-3-1, Mane, Coutinho, they spent much of their career in that 3. So I think it's the sort of thing that just makes much more sense to them, whereas Sturridge can remember previous times at other clubs where playing wide has meant playing wide.
Yeah, and he's been shoved out, and maybe you're right, maybe he's got that thing in his head where at Chelsea they shoved me out wide because he didn't fancy me, or they weren't sure about me, and this is another fellow who isn't sure about me, so there might be a mental thing, and it's very early in the season.
I think it is, and I think it's something which is just, I think in general there's subtleties to these things, and I suspect the manager's being just tossing a little bit of toffee out somewhere in there, but I think he is right, and I err on the side of the idea that it's meant to be a fluid front 3. But I think one of the issues with the fluid front 3, and this is one of my issues, full stop, sort of, if I say issues, it's not like I'm not burning anything, but what I mean is just one of the question marks, sort of full stop, is one of the things about a fluid front 3 is it needs everyone to play well.
Yeah.
And this is back to the idea of how, are Liverpool going to set up? Is the plan this season that Liverpool are just going to play well and therefore results are going to come? Or is there the idea that you're setting up as to how you're going to do the business if you're not playing well. And I think that that's going to be a conflict sort of at the heart of much of the season. And I'll keep saying it, the manager's an idealist, and the manager, I think, is going to have the attitude of, no, we're going to play well. We're going to play well and we're going to keep playing well, and that's the way in which this is going to work. And if we're not playing well, I'll do something to change it. But the idea is that we play well, first and foremost. And I think that at the heart of that is something which is slightly difficult to get over. And it's the harder thing to achieve. It might be the thing that, in the long term, gets you the best results. It might be the thing that over the course of 38 games or over the course of 3 years gets you the better football team. But I think it's something which certain footballers will struggle with. For instance, I think it's the sort of thing that if Jamie Carragher was in this Liverpool team, he'd struggle with. He'd struggle with this idea that we're just going to play brilliantly, are we, lad? We're not going to have a plan for it if we're not playing so well. Do you know what I mean? And I think that certain players suit that sort of football. You've seen it when that was sort of the attitude under Rodgers. And I think also in there that becomes a positional thing, which is, well, that's what I do. I want to do the thing that I do. I do this bit, and then I might choose to do other bits because I'm me. And I think that that's something which, again, the manager's going to battle against. And I think he'll win that battle, not least because, as you just said, Klopp's a very, very intelligent manager. Sturridge is a very, very intelligent footballer. It suits both of them that Liverpool are successful, because Liverpool being successful means Sturridge is kicking it in the back of the net, and it means that Klopp is getting wins. But it's one of them where I think it just gets sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, it gets sorted out by performances and it gets sorted out by results, I think, one way or the other, and I think that's right. But it'd be interesting to watch over the next few weeks, I suppose, you know, how Sturridge is used and how maybe he adapts to the team being set up in a slightly different way.
What I would say is, you know, if you're Sturridge, if you're watching it from the bench at the weekend, against Burton, and they say to you, do you want to come on and play where Firmino's playing, Origi's playing, or Mane's playing? Well, you want to come on where Origi's playing.
Yeah.
And there is what Origi was doing there was something that is different to what Firmino and Mane are doing. He's pulling wide, he's getting involved, but he clearly is doing a specific thing.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but then, you know, the second goal is, you know, who's playing up front there and who's playing wide.
No, I agree with you.
So it's, you know, I think that's what Klopp would argue, and Klopp would say, well, look, hang on, when you've been playing centre forward, you know, when you had that season 13-14 with Suarez, what was going on there?
Moving all around.
You're moving all around. You know, you've been asked to fill in wide. Sometimes Suarez was doing it and you were up top. You know, it was very horses for courses, and so, you know, he has played successfully in that kind of that fluid front three that we had. I think maybe just, you know, it needs a bit more communication on it, more of a chat about it. I mean, Sturridge is just one footballer, and Klopp's got 25 to deal with, so you know, maybe just did need a chat on it and kind of what's expected. But I would say at the moment, to me, the front three looks a bit more than some of the parts when Sturridge isn't there. But you know, it's very early. It is very early.
My phone's ringing, but that's very much a problem for once we finish this. I can just hear it in the other room. Looking at Derby in the League Cup, we'll do that bit next.
Okay.
Bit dull, if we're all honest about it. Been to Pride Park. They've not been to Pride Park for about 10 years because they haven't been back up since about 2008, I think.
I'm quite looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it feels like a good distance. My favourite thing with Burton was getting home just before 12 o'clock. It felt like something. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And so so that was really nice. So it's a good distance. It's far enough to get drunk. But it's, you know, it's
close enough to be in bed.
Yeah, to be in bed and to be kind of semi-alright the next day. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with Derby, and I think it's, you know, you're looking at the draw. You know, all the best teams are in it now. So, you know, it could have been tough. It could have been much tougher. I mean, it would have been nice to go to Atkinson just because that would have been a laugh for us. But
for Atkinson to come to us.
Yeah, but I can't have it for me own way in life.
Can't. You got to take these swings and roundabouts.
I'm fine with Derby.
Derby, absolutely fine. Origi and Chan, both doubts for the weekend. I don't think he starts Sturridge at Spurs. I think he's going to go with Coutinho, Mane and Firmino. That's what I think he'd go with. I think that's what he would have gone with anyway, regardless of the Origi situation.
Yeah.
So Chan feels like a bigger blow.
It's more of a shame for Emre, and I don't know, you start to think...
And more of a shame for the players around Emre, who you felt prospered with him being there.
The midfield looked much better with him. It's only Burton, blah, 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 but, you know, the midfield looked much better with him. So it's a shame, really, and you start to think, well, did he have to bring him back for that? Could he have held him back for Spurs? But I suppose you don't know when players are going to, you know, things are going to happen. We've had injuries and training and things like that. So,
and he's talked about being in rhythm, which was his big thing. He also said from the press conference why he picked such a strong side of Burton. He wants to get them in rhythm at this stage of the season. Yeah,
so you get that. And look, I was pleased with a sort of strong team. So, you know, it's kind of, you know, you're trying to have your cake and eat it a little bit. But I'm hoping, you know, they said not too serious, not sure for the weekend. So I'm hoping that they can use Emre and they can they feel, because it's a while, isn't it? He's done it quite early, so they're presumably they're training today after this, and then they'll be training Friday, so they'll be able to have a look at him. So I'm sure they'll give him every chance, because as I say, I thought the midfield looked a lot better.
And the last one is that it's well, the other thing that he says, actually, which is quite interesting in this press conference, I've got it all noted down here, is firstly he wants players to be angry if they're not playing. Again, that sort of harks back to the Sturridge thing as well. I think to a certain extent he wants the idea that footballers are pretty demanding, but what he also wants is for the lads who are definitely not going to get a game to start making a move and start working that out. I thought that came through big time.
Yeah, that felt more to me to be a... Hey, do you know what, lad? It's not happening for you here, mate, and stuff like that. So first me to that. I mean, it's one of the oldest manager things, in the book. If you're asked about, the players aren't happy, say, well, I expect them to be, unhappy. But that seemed to be a bit more of a, talking about the players who aren't going to get a look, and you should be looking somewhere else to find your football. He said the squad's still too big.
Coach Home came out this morning. Tournament App will be out, and Fantasy League will be out tonight. Been planning all of them. We're also recording a Friday show today as well, which will be out first thing tomorrow morning on The Player, doing City Talk tomorrow too. If you're into the free shows, whatever you want, really, £5 a month, all that sort of stuff, all the gist of it by now. But do subscribe if you've been thinking about it and before the weekend to come. Big game against Spurs. See you in a bit.